Hey everybody, Tommy Clayton here, OpenSciEd middle school teacher and lesson writer. Here to dig into lesson 7 from unit 8.2, where we're trying to figure out how sound can make something move. This is a really cool lesson because this is the start of a new lesson set where we're really trying to figure out more about what's happening in the air as sound is traveling. And so this lesson really kicks off a lot of abstract thinking that we're going to be doing. So really picturing a bunch of things that we can't see. So this is a short lesson. There's a couple little tips and tricks that I want to dig into. So we're going to take a look at how we got here. We'll take a look at this lesson at a glance, some key moments, and we'll leave you with some material management and some tips and tricks. So let's get to it. All right, so let's remind ourselves how we got here. So in the previous lesson, we did sort of that summative task where we were really checking in on our thinking to pull all the ideas together to be able to explain how we can get all these different sounds. So we really dug into like what is it that's helping a harp to make all those different sounds? What's going on with these like different plates of the xylophone? So in this lesson, now that we've figured out like how all these objects can make different sounds, we're starting to really like wonder like what's actually moving from the thing that's making the sound to the window or to our ears or to whatever's like receiving that sound. So this lesson, we'll take a look at it at a glance. It is a one-day lesson, really quick preparation, just about 5 minutes. This is a bit of a problematizing lesson, so you're going to see we kind of are a little confused at the end of this lesson. We are going to do an investigation, but it is a teacher demo. Students do not need devices, and there are no additional related videos for setup on this one. So it's really one big chunk, this lesson. It's sort of a flow as we do a little bit of investigating. So we revisit our consensus model and our question board. This helps us to sort of focus where we're going to investigate. And then we basically do 2 investigations. So the first part is investigating something playing a sound in a sealed container. And then the second part is like investigating like what's happening with the mass. Basically, we're trying to convince ourselves that nothing's like leaking out of it. And then we're going to revisit our models. That's sort of going to lead us to the next investigation we're going to want to do in lesson 8. So ultimately, what we're going to figure out in this lesson is that air is not moving from the speaker like to the window, right? In our initial model, we may have drawn sort of some particles or some things actually coming all the way from the speaker to the actual window. And what we're ruling out in this lesson is really that like it's not air that's actually moving all the way across, but we don't actually know what it is by the end of the lesson. And so ultimately, we're really going to be figuring that out and sort of still wondering like what's happening in between the space between the truck speaker and the window, or, you know, in an example like a drum and an ear, whatever it is. We're still not really going to be sure at the end of this lesson, and that's totally okay. What we're doing is really ruling out what it's not. So let's take a look at a couple of key moments. So part 1 of this is where we revisit our question board, and we use that to really navigate to figuring out more about what's happening in the space between the sound maker and the sound receiver. And so in part 2, we plan an investigation together. And really what we think about doing is sealing something that's making a sound in like a Tupperware container to see if we can like still hear the sound, right? So we sort of reason through like if air is actually traveling from the speaker to our ears, if we block it, if we trap it, we shouldn't hear anything, right? And so what we do is think about like the different possible outcomes, right? If we don't hear a sound, what does that mean? If we do hear a sound, what does that mean? And then once we've sort of thought through those possible outcomes, we observe the teacher do it. So put a cell phone or something in the Tupperware container and play a sound. So spoiler alert, we can still hear the sound. And this is the part where kids will say, well, but like, it's not totally airtight. I think maybe some stuff's getting out, right? So this introduces that second investigation. So we're like, cool, how could we prove that, you know, stuff's getting out, stuff's not getting out? And so that leads us to want to collect the mass of it before and after it's actually playing the sound. So we repeat a similar scenario to part 2. We plan an investigation together. We think through the possible different outcomes, right? What does it mean if the mass stays the same? What does it mean if the mass goes down? And then once again, we observe the teacher carry out this investigation. And spoiler alert, we see that the mass stays the same, right? So nothing's actually like leaving. Air's not getting out, but we're still sort of hearing sound. And so that leads us to be like, all right, we got to sort of investigate this a little more. And so that's going to lead us into that next lesson. So in that next lesson, what we're ultimately wondering is like, well, does the air even matter? Like, what would happen if we just like removed all of the air, right? Does the matter in between our ears and something making a sound really matter? And so we get to sort of experiment and see a video with putting a sound maker in a vacuum chamber and removing the air. Okay, so here are some tips and tricks. This lesson's pretty straightforward. It's pretty quick. When you are actually playing the sound in the container, if you're playing the sound and it's on the scale will jump. You will see the numbers jump up and down because of the vibration of the phone. The mass will fluctuate. So really what you want to do is take the mass before and then play the sound and take the mass after, right? And it will be the same. But if you play it on the actual scale, you'll see it sort of jumping up and down. So you want to make sure you do that before and then after so that you don't see that fluctuation in the mass. Okay, there are no new words that we are adding to our word wall in this particular lesson. You are going to need to go back to your driving question board at the beginning of the lesson and the initial consensus model. That's going to help you navigate to really focusing kids on investigating sort of the middle of our model, right? And so you want to pull some questions there that kids have around like wondering what's happening in the air or what's maybe happening with particles or whatever the case may be to get into that investigation. So that's it. That's lesson 7. Pretty straightforward in terms of getting you to the next piece, which is like navigating if we actually do need the air. We're going to want to investigate that. So students might, sort of leave this lesson a little unresolved because we didn't really figure anything out. But what we did figure out is that it's not actually air moving from the speaker to that. So you may want to elevate that with your students. I know when I did this the first couple of times, students were like, oh, we didn't figure anything out. And they're like, well, we did. We figured out what it's not, right? And so that's an important part of science. So you may want to close the lesson with sort of elevating that piece. Come back and join us for lesson 8. It's another one-day investigation, and we'll talk you through how kids figure out that we actually do need the air to hear sound. We'll see you next time.